Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the last episode of the 2023 season for the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. I am the co-host, long forgotten, named Josh, along with co-hosts Ethan, Ryan, and special guest, our very first champion and ninth place finisher this year,
Very much so
Paul.
former. Very much so former champion.
Had to bring it up.
Couldn't be more
Yeah,
former champion if you tried. Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's all good. It's all good.
We love
Oh
you.
man.
Yeah, we love you. At least you could at least be a better quarterback than Jaron Hall. And
Yep.
yeah, so we're gonna basically go in real quick. We have a winner to announce for our Dynasty Junkies League. Drum roll, everybody. Ryan won. I hate to say it, but pretty convincing margin. It was like 172 to 150, something like that.
And that's with my quarterback going negative.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Jaron Hall just did not have a good day yesterday.
He just didn't go negative 20 to Josh's disappointment.
Yeah.
Look, he hit like the fumble, and I'm like, yes, negative 22 points to go.
Let's go, baby.
I was carried into this week by Brees Hall and CeeDee Lamb. They absolutely destroyed with a combined like 73 points.
I will tell you, CeeDee Lamb's 92-yard touchdown
points
is when I started mentally preparing. I don't think this is going to end well.
Yeah. And see,
exactly.
I started celebrating. I was like, oh my gosh, I might actually have a chance. Because I was going into this week like, great.
Well, he says that, but like he had Amon-Ra on Thursday too, who put up 25.
I know.
Oh yeah, no.
But I was
I was
going
kicker.
into this week. But I was going into this week going, oh crap. Like before the games started, I'm like, oh great. I'm just glad to be here. Because like I'm going up against the 12-2 team in like Josh's team.
The 12 and
he's like he's been absolutely dominant all year. Mm-hmm. And I'm just sitting there going, great. All right. Second fiddle. That's all right with me. Like I'll be fine as long as I made it to the championship, made it out of the first round even. I'm fine. But to be able to win against Josh was awesome. Like I'm so proud of my team.
But I gotta say, what CeeDee Lamb did in that game is probably just the evidence of how this whole season went. You had a guy who nobody would be able to say he was going to put up 40 plus points in one single game. Now, can he do
Detroit,
it? Yes.
Too.
Right.
Yeah.
Can he do it? We all know he can do it. Was it a normal thing to do?
No.
And all of a sudden, against Richter, he just explodes on the scene. And even, just like we already said, with your quarterback, literally, your quarterback showed up with the game without any pads on. I mean, that's basically what it came back to. Yeah. And yet you still won the game. I mean, that's just who would have ever thought?
Yeah. I was really surprised by it, and especially with Lamar Jackson's 40-point game. You had me sweating. Like
that was the equalizer
I was like,
for me.
Oh my gosh.
That's where I was just like, okay, I really just need, as we lose Paul for a second, I just needed Kelsey to do something.
Yeah.
Nope.
And then it just went completely downhill, and it's just like,
Nope.
But
I was surprised.
He doesn't do much of anything fun anymore.
Yeah, I was surprised by Kelsey. Like I was expecting him to even the score.
My entire thing was like literally like Lamar and CeeDee kind of canceled each other out. It was Kamara, Olave, and Kelsey tanked. Basically did cardio. Well, minus Kamara because he got hurt. And that's to me, that's where just the difference was. But I mean,
and with CMC getting benched.
Don't get me started.
When I saw Elijah Mitchell in running the ball, I was like, no way.
Did I just win?
No way. Did I just
no,
this just happen?
I saw Elijah Mitchell touchdown and I went, oh no, this actually just happened. And then not even on top of that, I totally forgot AJ Brown getting vultured by Julio Jones. So that's
twice.
And I'm just like,
and then by Dallas.
and yeah, that's where it's just like, you know what? The the process I still think was right. It's just everything backfired at the very worst time possible.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So there's
Yeah.
nothing I can
agree.
do about that, unfortunately. I can go 24-4 for 2 years now with zero championships to show for it.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I mean,
That's my frustration going into the
but
offseason,
I
honestly.
gotta
That's my
say,
therapy.
Josh, I want to say this. I think
Suck it.
you're a major contender next year with all of the draft picks that you have this offseason.
Ugh.
You are still like the front runner, even though like I won. You're still the front runner for next year because this is your
It's
team
just about
is
who gets hot
solid.
at the end, man. Like, I guess to
Yeah,
start transitioning out of like Ryan's the champion, nobody likes it, nobody's happy about it. Um,
well, somebody's
into
happy
like
about it.
into what happened this season, but like it was literally just about who got hot at the end. And because
That's it.
like if you would have told Ryan, hey Ryan, you're not gonna have first of all, hey Ryan, you're gonna be in the championship, he would have cried because he's a
Yeah,
Right.
big blubbering baby. But second of all, if you had told Ryan, hey bud, Brees Hall and CD Lamb are gonna combine for 70 something points and win you
Right.
the championship, he
yep,
would have told you you're crazy because CD Lamb
The
and
Brees
Everybody.
Hall one,
Yeah.
especially because it
were
was
a
against Cleveland.
liability for the first
Yeah.
yeah,
for the entirety of the like I don't know first 8 weeks of the season. They were a liability
yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I did not see Brees Hall doing what he did. That I
for the last
I
two
was so
weeks.
surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
I
the
will
for the
say
last two
that's.
weeks.
I mean, we'll go into
With no
takeaways
Aaron
eventually.
Rodgers.
That's my shocker is that to me he's winning despite what he despite everything else going on with that team,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's
I
But
just
mean,
like
guys,
wow, he
if you
is
look at
producing.
Brees Hall in 2 weeks, he has 26 targets or
right,
25 targets, which
right.
is ridiculous.
The power
So,
But when
trips
you
him.
but when you look at everything, well, just allow this to be a glimpse into how the NFL season has gone. I've already told Ryan twice. The Cleveland Browns are in the playoffs with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
that's
Flacco,
fair.
There's
The
the Flacco
it,
from
Flaccoverse,
last year.
the
it is the
there's no
Flaccoverse.
way.
Flaccoverse. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm telling you,
He's fallen
listen,
asleep at the
honestly,
game and taken him to the playoffs.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
All Flacco for that team, all Flacco has to do is manage the ball, which he can do. We all know that. They've got a great running game. They've got a great defense, and they're going to do some damage in the playoffs. And
Well,
that's the way it's going to go. But that's the season. That's how
Yeah.
they're
crazy this
doing
whole thing
that
has been.
without their top three tackles, and like they're injured.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
so injured. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
the AFC, especially this year, has just been war of attrition to where it's like if you're the healthiest, you're going to be okay
Right.
because everyone else is just like dive bombed due to injuries
Right.
this year.
Right.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
funny that Baltimore won the war of attrition. Just more
Yeah.
ironic than
Look,
anything.
look, we paid
Yeah.
for it for 3 years.
Well, yeah.
Please.
And I really think at this point, J.K. Dobbins is out.
Correct.
Out, like
Correct.
out.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not coming back because he
He
is
shouldn't. I like honestly
literally,
for him and his health, like he should just go the Andrew Luck way out of like
yeah,
guys, I
He's
can't get
yeah.
injured next
Ace-
I
year.
mean, he's been
Yeah.
injured more than he's actually played in his career,
Yeah.
essentially. Like that's
Like
that's
he
what it's
is-
been,
serious injuries, like
and it's serious, yeah,
ACL, MCL, like
yeah.
yeah.
But I do say like Baltimore could be picking up a top running back this
Josh
year. 'Cause
Josh
they're
Jacobs. Josh Jacobs
So
in there?
Josh Jacobs is a legitimate option. There's just no cap
potentially,
space. So
yeah,
that's the other
Okay.
issue. To where like that's where like J.K. Dobbins on a prove it deal actually
Yeah.
makes sense. But if for your very, very, very early 2024 draft running backs, I mean, there's three that really come to mind, which is Trey Benson from Florida State, Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, which his stuff doesn't seem real, and then
yeah,
Blake Corum from Michigan and Donovan Edwards. So make that four.
Yeah.
And
Basically,
we'll
what Josh is saying with his draft picks, he doesn't care who the Ravens take at running back. He's drafting that person.
yes,
I don't know about
Right.
that based on the
Yep.
recent
that's where
history.
he's going. Yeah.
You know,
So-
speaking of that, here I was last year, you know, Ethan and I were bouncing back and forth on, okay, is he going to take Jameer? Who am I going to take? Back and forth. And all of a sudden, my running back does zero. Just, he hasn't made an impact on the game at all. But here's Jameer tearing it up.
Yep.
Well, I mean, do
Thanks,
we want to start
Paul,
going into season
for not-
takeaways?
Thank
Because
you,
that's
Paul, for
actually
not tempting me into sin. You're a good pastor. All right. You're a very good pastor.
well.
Yeah.
Can we transition into our takeaways for the season?
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna
George
say
first.
let's go to the let's go to the losers bracket.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Let's do that.
Okay.
let's list out the top draft picks this year. Not NFL players, but like
Yeah.
in our league, who is going from 1 to 10. So we've got
Jacob at 1,
Jacob at 1, Paul 2,
2,
then we've got
Tyler at 3,
Tyler at 3. Yeah, Tyler at 3, Michaela,
at 4,
Ethan.
No, it's actually at 5. Oh wait,
No, it's
no,
me.
no, it's Ethan.
nope.
It's Ethan.
Yep, it's Ethan.
It's me, which is actually Jacob.
Yeah, it's Ethan,
Yeah.
Caldwell,
Yeah.
then Alex. No,
No, Ashley, then Alex.
Ashley, then Alex, then
Then
Josh,
me.
and
Yep.
me. So I have the
Yep.
last pick in the first round of this draft, which is a bummer, but it's all right.
Is it, Ryan?
Okay.
Is it a bummer?
I mean, it's the price. It's the price I pay for being the champion. So I'm willing to pay it
I'm the first
to be the first champion.
Some of you may die.
Out of our podcast group. So I can.
Yeah, about
I
time.
can
It only
lord-
took 3 years.
Yeah, I can lord that over you guys for the next 6 months.
Dude,
until
you know,
we
for
start.
every
actually, for
podcast
the next
episode, he's
year.
about to have the trophy in the back corner.
Oh, I will. I
Yeah.
will literally I will have it right here next to me.
Yeah.
Right in view.
He's
'Cause
gonna
you
be
guys-
like
you
the
guys are
penguin from
you guys
Sarasota.
are gonna have to
This
you
one
guys are gonna have to
is Veronica.
you guys are gonna have to stare at it all year.
It'll be
going to
amazing
happen.
being the first champion. I'll actually get to see the trophy.
Yep.
Well, Ryan's
Yeah.
gonna.
Oh
I
yeah,
think Ryan's gonna.
we will make
first.
sure that everyone gets a hand on it because
Yeah.
we're 3 years behind. So
You get
It's gonna be the-
you get to
it's gonna
taste
be
you
Paul,
get a taste of
Ashley,
it.
then Ryan.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pass it
Yeah.
around.
as long
there you go.
as I get it for next season, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. So yeah, so that's kind of our draft lineup for this upcoming year. We can kind of move into our takes for this
Yeah.
year and just talk about for one, do we have any like overall takes for the league this year? Like how the NFL league or how the fantasy league went?
Are you like for our personal league, or are you talking about for
Well,
fantasy in
the
general?
NFL fantasy in general.
I got a few because as far as I would like to title
Okay.
this the 10 things that impacted your fantasy season, and I would just like to say,
Oh my
Josh,
God.
I
with his
think-
freaking list.
Limit
All right, guys,
it,
I have
Josh.
100 things I want to throw
Yeah.
out really quick, so just go ahead and sit back.
No, I will limit this. I actually want to start off the first thing we started talking about that would be a very big impact, and that was running backs. Just because we started off with this little running back strike in the beginning of the year with Jacobs, Barkley, Jonathan Taylor that lasted till what, week 7, Ethan? Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Oh, it sure did.
Oh. So it lasted until like week 7. J.K. Dobbins is included in that, and then the subsequent running backs to get injured right after that. So Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, Austin
Yeah.
Eckler for Achan, Kyron Williams, Mostert, and like Aaron
Kamara
Jones.
was
Another,
suspended.
yeah, Kamara was suspended. And it's just like, man, if you could have.
James Conner was hurt. Kenneth Walker was
Yeah.
hurt.
What? Yeah, and then that's not even talking about the players who fell off a cliff. Derrick Henry,
Oh, gee.
Eckler,
Right.
Najee,
Yeah.
especially, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and so now it's the running back position in general is in such a weird position next year because your typical staples are not your typical staples, and then you have a bunch of players who are hurt or coming off injury to where you have to actually start being very nervous about it.
Yeah.
We thought Javante would be one person. Ryan and I were just talking about Javante, and now it's like, well, now if Russ is out, we're in a very weird position to where this may not look good.
Yeah,
And
Russ
then
to the Falcons.
we
Sorry.
put. I mean, that's very honestly. I've been thinking that's where Russ goes.
It definitely could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm telling you, they're doing one of the three things: Justin Fields, Russ, or trading for the first overall pick. They're going to do one of those three things.
I think they're going to end up
Jaden
doing
Daniels, you are an Atlanta Falcon.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I think
man.
Jaden
Hey, that
Daniels.
That's
honestly
the one I
shouldn't.
don't want.
That wouldn't
Really,
be
you
a
don't like
bad
Jaden
pick.
Daniels?
No.
No, he's a great dual threat.
Dude, I am. Okay, I'll give you my top 5 right now as far as quarterbacks.
Okay.
Caleb, Drake, Jaden, Michael Penix, Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with that.
Okay.
I like Marcus May, or not Marcus May, a little bit better.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think he just goes earlier if y'all don't get the first pick.
Drake May.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcus May, incredible safety. But how
So
do y'all feel about running backs
overall,
before? Yeah.
Running backs? Well, this kind of goes into my personal, like for my team takeaway, but I kind of felt like I had underachieving running backs this year. Like I feel like overall,
Everyone did.
the running
Everyone.
back position,
Yeah.
the running back position was a little devalued this year, and the wide receiver position was very valuable.
It was chaotic, though.
Yeah,
but
so,
I wanted to say though
like,
that
for me,
interestingly, but I wanted to just say interestingly though, remember back in July and August that there was lots of talk going on about how running backs were not making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there was this big push, and Henry he's gonna hold out for this and that and the other. And then just like that, everything just, like you said, fell off a cliff. And I think it's going to be very interesting going into this next season. I think you're going to see a devaluing of the running back position, which is okay because, as you guys know, from year to year, it goes from pass happy to run happy, back and forth. And I think you'll see that pendulum shift back to the running back position, and everybody will be pouring into it, and then the whole thing starts over again.
Yeah, because on my team, I had 6 running backs that were considered before this year highly valuable. Well, and one wasn't entirely valuable, but he was worth a start. And that was Mostert, Brees, Pollard, Javante, Singletary, and Ramondre.
Yep. That was a good crew. Good crew.
Out of the whole, and I was expecting big things out of this whole group. Like that was my strongest position. I was expecting a lot. And I kind of sat down this morning and did the math on it. And all of those running backs for games over 20 points. Brees and Pollard had 7 games over 20 points out of 17. Yeah. Mostert had 6 games. Javante, Singletary, and Ramondre only had 3 games over 20 points. And that's it.
Oof.
That's rough, man.
Oof.
And that was real rough. So, like, for my team, my wide receivers carried my team. Carried my team. And that was because I had CD, Amon-Ra, and Jamar Chase. Now, Jamar Chase was kind of bad.
In waves.
But CD Lamb over 15 or under 15 points. CD only had 3 games that was under 15 points. Amon-Ra only had 2 games that was under 15 points. And Jamar Chase was the outlier with 10 games under 15, but he also lost Burrow for half the season.
Well, yeah, and
so
that's also the thing that we did when we did Statathon in the off season. We were like, unfortunately, take out the DeMar Hamlin game. If you just don't include that because that game was obviously for very serious reasons. If you take that game away, Jamar didn't bust like the entire year. Like he was the most consistent wide receiver you probably ever saw. And then obviously this year, the whole bottom fell out for that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to get to Paul's point real quick as far as running backs, because like I've noticed with my team that I had like I want to say about 13 wide receivers, and I'm not kidding you. I have like 13 wide
Mhm.
receivers on the team, but it's always because I thought, all right, if I can get stable running backs, they'll stay in, they'll be fine. It's just who do I guess at receiver? And now, like I don't know if we're seeing more stable receivers, or are we seeing more devalued running backs? And then, and this is like kind of quasi kind of adding to the solution slash another takeaway, but I'm not going to count it as a takeaway. I think with how many quarterbacks that got injured, it
Right.
immediately shot running backs way back up in value. And that I
Yeah.
think is going to be, I have no idea how teams are going to handle this. Like the
Yeah.
Colts are going to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, and they have a secret weapon for next year, Anthony Richardson coming in.
Yeah.
Kirk
Right.
Cousins, Achilles, Aaron Rodgers, Achilles, and there's like I forgot how many quarterbacks actually started this year. It's like 70 or something like that,
It's
and
something.
Yeah. It's
it's something
ridiculous.
absurd. Like if we talk about the running backs falling off a cliff, I feel like the quarterbacks fell off a cliff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the championship. I started Jaron Hall. I was considering starting Jake Browning in that role. Like, that's ridiculous to have a team in the championship that doesn't have a top end quarterback. Like, I lost both Trevor Lawrence and
And
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow, which I thought, okay, out of two top end quarterbacks, I might lose one in the season. But I didn't think I'd lose both of them. I have
Yeah.
like 6 quarterbacks on my roster right now because I was panicking in the playoffs, going,
Oh
"Oh my
yeah.
gosh, who am I going to start?" Like I was panicking.
I mean, that's why I picked up Stidham, just to make sure that you didn't have him. And then, if the rest of my team actually did something, maybe Jaron Hall's performance would have been worth something for me. But yeah, it's just weird because I feel like this quarterback running back relationship is it should be the big talking point, because before all the running backs happened, I was thinking about making a video saying why you should draft a quarterback in the first round for redraft leagues.
Mhm.
And as soon as the running back stuff happened, I said, no, you got to grab your guy and go. And unfortunately, my redraft leagues, my guy, because I got stuck in the middle of the first round, I said, Austin Eckler is that guy. Ugh,
Oh,
bad idea. But man, I feel
gosh,
like,
how many times did I tell you at the end of last season that Eckler was dead?
Yep,
look,
yep.
I didn't believe you, and I stubbornly went, you know what? I'll be able to trade him midseason. And I did trade him midseason. Not as much as I
So
probably
far,
should have,
I'm
but
two for
Yeah,
two, Josh.
yeah.
I'm 2 for 2
yep.
so far. Cooper
You're
Cup, I was
yeah.
right about, and Austin Eckler, I was right about.
Yeah, you've
Yep.
been 2 for 2 for there. I feel like I've been 2 for 2 on coaches, but
And
that's that.
you know who it's going to be next year?
Who will it be next year?
Tyreek Hill.
Ooh,
On
Tyreek Hill will be next year.
I
for
can tell you,
real?
I can tell. Yes,
That's bold.
actually, Ethan,
That is.
I'm with you on that one, and I will say, Ashley has already talked about moving Tyreek and Tua as a package.
Interesting.
Ooh. That's a good package. I
Yeah,
I
so
don't
make your
I don't
offers, gentlemen.
necessarily like I don't necessarily like Tua, but if he's
No,
packaged
I'm
with
not doing anything.
Tyreek,
I love my team
I'd be interested. Can you imagine having CD, Amon-Ra, Jamar Chase, and Tyreek on the same team?
No, I
Oh my
couldn't run with
God.
like
If they're healthy.
Yeah, if
If they're
healthy.
healthy, yeah. If they're healthy. But
Yeah,
yeah, that would be crazy.
I know that was a long topic. All right, what are y'all's takeaways?
Well, I had kind of a takeaway. We've already kind of dipped into this a couple of weeks ago, but just talking about great tight end play this year.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
I'm happy you're bringing it up.
So my takeaway in 2021, we only had 4 tight ends go over 200 points. 4 tight ends, that's it. We have this year 6 tight ends over 200 points, and 9 tight ends in total go over 150 points, which is crazy. And all of the top 6 that are over 200 are within 30 points of each other,
Yeah.
which it's crazy.
No way he
Like,
actually ended up as tight end 1.
yeah, Laporta
I
is
just
tight end 1.
looked at it.
That's
Wow.
nuts. Like having a rookie come in and be tight end 1. Like
Yeah, can we
that's
Yeah.
boasts good things for him next year for you, Dad. Like
that
that's awesome.
Can we
Well, I
talk
would
about
say
how
that's
incredible?
oh, I was gonna say, go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say that's incredibly rare because what's been the tight end position in fantasy is like wait till year 3,
Yeah.
Laporta.
Right.
Nah, let's start a training camp.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think he has the physical skills and he has the prowess. I mean, we honestly, when it came time to draft him, I went on a gut feeling. No stats, no nothing. It just, I'll be honest, this is truth. His name just sounded like that's a guy you don't want to meet in a dark alley. You know what I mean? Laporta. That's the way I came across. I know that sounds
Paul
silly,
meets,
but that's how
listen,
I
take it
felt.
from an expert. No, take it from an expert because Paul meets lots of
Oh
men.
my gosh. Oh my God.
Sam
I
Laporta
mean,
was
but-
look, we all
Paul
should have
Samuel.
realized something as soon as we did our little mock draft, and then Paul goes Sam Laporta before anyone was starting to talk
Yeah.
to him
That's it.
about first round.
I had this
Yeah.
feeling. I just said, this dude, there's something about him. Now, at the same time, it's because I was recognizing how the Lions were being set up. They had just let go of their top tight end, and they knew
Yep.
there was a reason for that. Their formula, what they've got going on right now, dude, I'm telling you, that is a tight end
Yeah.
strong team, and they love to run the ball, and they're old school. They're not relying on fancy stuff. And so Laporta, as long as he stays healthy, he's going to
Yeah.
get fed the ball constantly.
Yeah.
Well, and Dad, like in general, last year's draft,
Yeah. Thank you for bringing it
won.
up.
You won last year's draft by far. I mean,
Yeah.
all of the
That's-
talent that you infused into your team, Kyron Williams, Puka Nakua, Sam Laporta, you got Tyjae
Bijan.
Spears, Bijan, and
And
Yeah.
JSN. Honestly,
Yeah.
if the only one that isn't like startable on your team are the two is Tyjae and
Yeah.
JSN right now. But I
Right.
guarantee you, as soon as Lockett is out, JSN
Right.
is an automatic smash start.
that
And same with Tyjae Spears. When Henry eventually moves on, Tyjae Spears could become a
Yeah.
monster. With what I've seen this year,
Right.
like
and
he
they
looks
also
like a good running back.
it feels like Tennessee has their quarterback in Levis, to
Right.
be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
they're
So-
confident in him.
We need to like put your draft class in the Louvre or something like that, just to because
Yeah.
No, I
good
wouldn't say
Lord,
that.
what a draft class.
No, it was
Yeah.
beautiful, Dad. That
Yeah.
draft,
It-
I was not
It was a
expecting it.
Belichick draft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But again, every one of those players, guys, it's all going to be dependent upon what happens next year. Again, Tyjae, who knows? You never know. They could come into the season, they could let Henry go, and all of a sudden you have an injury, and we're
Yeah.
back here talking about, oh my goodness, what happened? Now, I'll be honest, I have been very, very, very disappointed with Bijan. I have. And it's not because of his talent level. The guy has incredible talent level. I just don't know what is going on in the Falcons' brain when you have
Don't
a
ask me.
dual threat guy like that.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
it's coaching. It's coaching. That's what it is.
Right.
So
Well, they're
I mean,
trying to
they're-
play dude perfect ball. Like they're having Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts block for a Johnny Smith screen. You know, they're having Bijan lead block for Algier on the edge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Like
throwing
it's a
75-yard
coaching
screens
issue.
to Algier.
Yeah, it's a coaching
wrong.
issue, and I think that's going to get worked
I-
out because that, like you said, that level
Right.
of talent is there. He just
Right.
needs to be utilized, and I think over the next year or two, I think he'll turn into an RB1, a solid like
Right.
smash RB1.
Well, so
Right.
one of three things is going to happen, right? Either it's going to be the same old next year, and Arthur Smith is going to be fired.
Yeah.
Blank is going to go to Arthur Smith and say, use your first round picks or you're fired. and it'll be like it was this year, or he'll get fired, or he'll actually use them. That's option 2. Or option 3 is they're just going to let him go and bring in Ben Johnson, and then who knows what
It-
that
it-
offense turns into.
Like
But
to
Right.
be honest with you, it's Ben Johnson or no one else, right? Like
yeah,
is how
yeah.
everyone's
If they're
feeling.
getting rid of Arthur Smith, it's Ben Johnson or no one else.
Yeah,
And
because
I don't know who else would Ben Johnson want to go to. He's not going to want to go to the Patriots. The Patriots suck.
yeah,
Right?
team still in rebuilding. Like they're still feeling the cap hits of like when they kind of, for lack of, I mean, Bill said it best when they sold their soul and won 3 more Super Bowls out of
Yeah.
it.
Like
Right.
the Chargers don't have a wide receiver or as good of a defense as Atlanta.
Right.
He's
Well,
not
I
going to
mean,
want to go
Chargers
to the
have an aging
Broncos
wide
because they don't have
receiver.
a first round pick, so they don't have a quarterback or wide receivers in Denver.
Yep.
Yep.
Who's he going to want to go to if not Atlanta?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
actually
I-
has
I-
pieces.
Yeah, that's if they fire Arthur Smith, which to be honest with you, I still have no idea. I can see them giving I kind of given this as my conspiracy theory is 2 years ago when they drafted Ritter, not a single quarterback was like, this is franchise altering. But to me, it felt like a lot of teams were like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. If we're a year early, fantastic. If not, we have this draft class to wait for. And I
Yeah.
think that's what I mean, Carolina didn't wait, and they kind of end up in the position they're in. I think Atlanta definitely waited. Pittsburgh, Mason Rudolph is starting this week. I think
Yeah.
they're done with Pickett, so that's
Yeah.
over. So now you're looking at all the teams who drafted in the 2022, right? 2022 draft, yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're done. We can't handle this anymore.
Yeah.
And so now it's 2024 when you get Caleb, Drake May, Jaden, and like so on and so forth. So many really good draftable QBs.
And
Yeah.
I think there's
It'll be a fun
going
year
to be
next
an influx. I think there's going to be an influx of QBs next year. I think it's going to. I think the QB market is not going to be, the top 3 or 4 QBs, and then everybody else is kind of a mid tier. I think there's going to be a lot more top QBs just because of the way the league is going. I think it's going to become pass happy. Like who would have expected Sam Howell to be a top 15 quarterback? And I mean,
Who
up
got
until the
benched?
last
We
couple,
did.
until
We
the
did.
last couple of
We
weeks.
said we did. We said he was
No,
going to be.
we said
Which
we said
right,
he was going to be a good QB, but I didn't think he was going because before what week? Hold on, let me look at his stats because before
as
week
Ro-
14, he was producing 20 plus points a game and was like a top 10 quarterback. At one point, he was like a top 5 quarterback. I never expected that. I was expecting him to be a decent quarterback, but not a top 5. So honestly, that was a shock to me.
I would
And
just like
CJ
to add
Stroud, same with him.
I would just like to add one more thing. And actually, CJ Stroud, I think, is a perfect transition. I don't know if anyone had rookies on their list, but you're Paul. You also drafted Sam Howell in this little draft class you had.
No,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
traded. We traded.
I traded for him. Yeah.
You traded.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I thought Sam Howell was picked up or
I
something
traded
like
in
that.
Hal and got Dallas got
Yeah.
roasted.
If y'all are wondering about the 2024 free agent class for running backs, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Saquon, Dalvin Cook, Eckler, Gus Edwards, Zeke, I think we need to start talking about, but Devin Singletary, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, Deonta Foreman, so
Dude.
on. It's
Dude.
gonna get interesting.
Dude, that is
Yeah.
gonna be nuts when you have a field flooded like that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
On to next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On to next year. Honestly, like this is going to be a very interesting draft this year, depending on who declares and who gets picked where.
Yeah, because Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams both have not declared.
Yeah,
But they also
and
didn't play in
they're
their ball
heavily
games.
they're heavily
That
considering.
doesn't mean
not.
anything.
Yeah, they're heavily considering not going on
Here's
because of where the top 2 picks are.
I mean, do we specifically talk about I guess the Chicago Bears just for a little bit
Yeah.
because I think they have heavily impacted not only this year, but they will impact next season. So do y'all think they keep Fields?
Mm-mm.
No,
No,
I
No,
I
think
don't.
I think they're
It,
moving
it
on from
really
Fields.
does not feel like it.
I
Yeah.
think they will. I the reason why I think they will is because you can see that where he's playing really good despite the I would say the O-line not really there, the offense not really being there as well. I think if I'm the GM, I'm also looking at it is do I take a once in a generation quarterback and start this process all over again? Or do I go and take our once in a generation wide receiver with a quarterback who's done pretty good and let's just kind of revamp this thing entirely all over again?
Yeah, but the issue is his quarterback play has been all right, but he has not led that offense. He has not done a great job of leading that offense.
Yeah,
I
and that's
I don't think that they're going to want him on that team. He's spent the last 3 years on that team, and he's done a decent job. But I think it's ready. I think they're ready to move on from him just because they have not seen success under him. I mean, again, it might have been a coaching issue, but Eberflus, this is his first year, and nothing has really
second year
changed with that
actually.
offense. Or second year, nothing has really changed with that
No, the
offense
offense is
very
definitely
much.
better.
I mean, it's better, but it's not.
Exponentially.
But it's definitely not to the level where they want. So
okay, so let me
I
throw
don't
this
know.
out to you. Concerning Chicago, knowing that they have the number 10 pick and the first pick from Carolina, would it be so out of this world crazy to assume that they might package both of those picks in a trade with Tennessee to get Henry, knowing they already have Fields, and
No,
then load up at
No,
the bottom part
not
of
for
the draft?
not for two
No,
first. No.
Okay.
no. Henry's not
My
worth that at his
yeah.
age, with all the wear and tear
Okay.
that he's got on him. He's
Yeah.
not worth two
Yeah.
firsts. Honestly,
Okay.
he. I mean, the best he can expect
Is a
is probably
third
just to
would be
get picked up
Okay.
in the off season in free agency.
Or
Uh,
take one of those picks and trade it away and move up. I mean, move down and grab other stuff.
I
Who
mean
knows?
yeah,
they're
they
probably.
might
I really
honestly.
think they're going to go down.
yeah, I think they'll go
If
down
they
too.
trade away their picks and get a better O line, I could see
Right.
them holding on to Fields. But
Yeah.
if they don't invest in their O line, I don't see Fields being there. I think they'll spend
Right.
that top
Right.
draft pick
Yeah.
on a top QB and possibly with the 10th pick go on with O line or defense.
Yeah,
So
it's my concern is that if you restart the clock and it's like, all right, Caleb Williams number one or something like that. One, you're not getting a first for Fields. You are going to be
Yeah.
lucky to even get a second for Fields. That unfortunately, that's
Right.
just
yeah,
how it is.
Yeah.
Now, I still think Fields could be the guy, but I also will admit that I don't know if I trust Eberflus or Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator. And that's
yeah,
obviously just because I think they've done okay. I'll start off with that. I don't think it's been god awful. That's for sure. But I think there are points where you see it, it goes, I don't know if that was the best decision. And the moment you keep saying, I don't know if that was the best play, I don't know if that was the best adjustment. The gray area gets larger and larger and larger. And I think that's going to be the question for Ryan Poles. It goes, all right, is it the coaching? Am I going to align with coaching here? Or am I going to align with this is the guy we need to make it work? And
yeah,
it makes it all the more terrible when it wasn't your choice, your draft pick to begin with. So
Yeah.
I think that's
yeah.
where recent history tells us they will drop him somewhere. But I still think Fields can win. Do I think we found the right scheme for Fields? No.
Yeah, see, because I'm looking at Fields' stats this year. He only went over 250 yards 3 times,
Yeesh.
and that's it.
I didn't realize it was that
3
long.
times. And I mean, he had great rushing stats. I mean, he rushed for over 10 yards, 6 times, or rushing attempts over 10 rushing attempts 6 times. But I mean, it depending on what their scheme is, I think they're gonna need O-line for sure, because
Interior
Fields
for
Fields
sure.
over this whole year he's been running for his life. So I don't know. I don't think they need to keep Justin Fields. I mean, he's still young. They can still trade him away for something, you know, to somebody. But I think it's ready. I think they're ready to move on.
Yeah.
Personally, especially with like the rumors that we've been hearing of them shopping him around and wanting to get rid of him. I think they're going to go with Caleb Williams with the first overall.
We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I think
I would too.
that's a good transition to end of season takeaways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dad, do
Yeah.
you have any takeaways from this season, either on your team or the league as a
No.
whole?
No, I've
Yeah.
already mentioned it twice. My takeaway was just the crazy inconsistency of the season. That was pretty
Yeah,
much it.
that's my end of season takeaway is like riding the ebb and flow of fantasy this year. Because
Yeah.
like to start off, I mean, we all talked about it. Like fantasy was horrible for like the first 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it was
I had
Yeah.
no idea what was good, what was bad. And then after like week 6, it was injuries, and then you didn't know who was available, who wasn't available, and that threw like a whole other wrench into like the ebb and flow of players. But like you had the rise
Yeah.
and fall of Bijan, you had the rise and
Yep.
fall of Jameer Gibbs, you had the rise and fall of
rise.
Monty, the rise and fall of AJ Brown,
Yeah.
the rise and fall of CD. Like
Yeah.
everyone was
Yeah.
up and down at some point this season, and there was no predicting.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
guess here's my
Absolutely no predicting.
yeah. Why do you think that is? Because I mean that might lead
I
into
don't know.
one takeaway I have, but
I don't know. I think there's not really a specific answer for it. I think the only one I could give would just be like game plan. Like
Yeah.
it just felt like maybe really specific game plans going in week over week, and
Yeah.
that it's always something different. That's the only thing I could say for
Yeah.
why it was the way it is.
Well, and I'm making a prediction for next year. It's kind of going off of what my dad said earlier. Invest in running backs next year. I think you have a couple of top wide receivers, but invest in running backs, because I think next year is going to be with that ebb and flow of running backs being valued and then devalued. I think next year, I think they're going to be heightened on their value. So
And it's been
especially with
straight years.
I mean
of
this is
wide-
something
It's been 2 straight years of wide receivers.
yeah.
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 I mean this
But
is
I think
I mean
I think the time of wide receivers are gonna go down a little bit.
yeah, no, I mean Ethan and I talked about this for our running back draft like our rookie month episode, where it was you're going to have like less points per game with running backs because we saw so many teams go, all right, we're going to go with a 1-2 punch here. Like Atlanta, Bijan Algier, as weird as that all transpired, but Seattle, Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, I mean Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor,
Years in Tennessee.
Yep, Spears, Derrick Henry, Achane, Mostert, and there was a lot of them where it's like, all right, your points per game are going to go down, which I guess technically makes you more.
Monte and Jaleel.
Yep, perfect one. Like, it makes you more a little touchdown dependent. But would you rather have 15 points a game for 17 games or 20 points per game but for like 8 games? I think that's going to be the big question that you're going to be entering in, especially into next year, because I mean, I think at this point, I think it's fair to say the 101 in redraft leagues is still going to be CMC.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now the question is, who's the 102, who's the 103 when you see a lot of these timeshare running backs?
Yeah, I couldn't even think about getting into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the scary part. But now it's like, okay, which team's going to load up on running back?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So my second and last thing, if I can just fire off both of mine,
Go for
but
it.
my second thing to end off the year is about my fantasy team, but it's getting younger hurts and it's very difficult.
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
over the last 2 years, I undertook the process of getting not just talent, but young talent so that my team can be successful beyond. And it has been painful because you can't all the way rely on them yet.
Yeah.
So like Jonathan Taylor, couldn't rely on him. Jameer Gibbs, couldn't rely on him. Let's see here.
Drake
Who else?
London is another example.
Yeah, Drake London couldn't depend on him. DK couldn't depend on him. So there is so many young guys on my team that are really talented, really good players.
Yeah.
But just being young and maybe not the game plan week over week,
Yeah.
it's hard. It was painful, but I really like my team going forward.
I mean, to
Yeah.
be honest with you,
And go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I think Ethan's takeaway is a good reminder for me because that's what I'm going to be stepping into next year.
Yeah,
So trying to get younger talent, it's going to
hurts.
get not fun.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, overall, as a fantasy football league, this is the first year where we've had a pretty straight across the board competitiveness in this league.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, with the exception of Jacob and Josh. Josh was 12-2. Jacob was 3-11. With the exception of those two, all of us were within 2 games of each other. All the rest of us were within 2 games. And
That's crazy.
not just that, but points scored, we were all within like 200, 200. Yeah, 100 and change within, 100 and 200 of each other, which is crazy. Because like I've never been in a league like that where it's been like straight across the board. It's like, okay, well, these guys are getting into the playoffs because they are what, less than 100 points in points for, higher than the person that has the same record as them. And it's crazy because, like, Dad, you would have made it into the playoffs if you beat me once.
Right.
In that, I think it was like week 13
And
or
you would
week
have
12.
beaten everyone that you played in the playoffs and probably
Yeah.
be the second time champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, for both
You
weeks.
probably would have, because you absolutely dominated in the postseason. But unfortunately in the losers bracket.
But
So,
then again, that last game of the last season that would have qualified me, there were
Yeah.
2 guys that didn't show up, and they
Ajahn.
were the coin. I mean, they were the money guys that okay, I plug them in, they're going to give me 20 points, and they
Yeah.
didn't. So
yeah, because honestly, Dad, you probably would have knocked me out of the playoffs.
Round one, you would have
Round
taken.
one,
Yeah.
round one,
And then you would have
KO'd me.
and then you would have knocked me out for semis.
Yeah. So
And then you would have beat whoever from the bottom side of the bracket in the finals.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just because
so
of Kyrie.
yeah. So if you
Yeah.
would have beaten me, you would have been in, which is a crazy thought because like that's how what's his name almost won last year,
Right.
Against Ashley.
Phillip.
So that's Philip. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that's how
He
Philip
should not
almost
be
won.
named.
But
Right.
he dominated. So
Mhm.
it's interesting how it all, laid out. But I think this year was really competitive, and I'm really happy with how this year went. Obviously, how it ended, but like how the year as a whole went, like for the regular season.
You see
Just
the subtle
because-
things, just like for him to remind everyone.
Oh.
I won, by the way.
Yeah, and
You're
you
right.
guys.
In case you forgot, we've only talked
Yeah,
about it the whole
hey,
episode, but
yeah,
I'm the champion.
guys-
I'm the greatest thing
you
who
better
ever
get
was.
used to it.
you're doing an essay where you're trying to figure out how to stretch into 300 words. So it's like, oh, I won, by
You
the way.
guys-
Oh, next
you guys
paragraph.
better
Oh,
get used to
in my
it,
championship
because-
run.
And I'm so glad it was so tight. That time when I won.
Yeah. Oh,
You
what
guys
a
better
time to
get
be
used
alive.
to
It
it
was a
because I'm
great
going to be
year.
saying it all year. I'm going to be saying
Yeah,
it every single
all year.
episode. But as a whole, I think the regular season, just excluding playoffs, the regular season went really well for the league, and I think it was very competitive, which is what I
I
love
think it was the
seeing
most
in a
fun.
fantasy league.
It
Yeah,
was,
this was
yeah.
because every week you didn't know who was going to win, with the exception of
Yeah.
Josh and his dominant
it
team.
was the
But you
most.
really didn't know
Yeah,
who
wait,
was going to
stop
win.
rubbing it in, right?
Well, for me, it was the most annoyed and happy I've ever been in a league.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yes.
like there were times when it was so much fun for me, and then there were times when I literally wanted to quit playing fantasy football.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
you wanted
That
to.
was
So
me.
frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
no,
Yep.
I agree with you 100%.
So, oh no, Josh, you shut up. 12-2.
No, because
You had
the
one.
reason
You had
no.
one bitter loss. All right, all season. I don't want to hear. I want to quit playing fantasy football after I went 12-2. You can suck it so
Yeah,
hard.
dude, I've gone 12-2 2 years in a row. How many championships?
Yeah.
Well,
You
you
see,
got what you deserve.
I
You got
am
what you
building
deserve, Josh.
scars right now. That will not be that will stay here for the rest of my life.
It's okay. One of these years, Josh, you'll make it.
Well, no,
I
Josh.
Okay,
had
but
I had to
Unfortunately,
watch Cam
it
Makers score
wasn't this
40
year.
points last year.
Yeah.
but
Man.
I want to say this is a perfect example, again, coming back to how this mirrors the NFL. Um, Richter, you led the whole season. You had it. And at the end, you didn't peak. And so
Yeah.
you get like the NFL season, you got these teams that are right now doing well. And they're coming into the playoffs. I mean, Philly's dropping a
Yeah,
listen.
he
Yeah.
was the Philadelphia Eagles. Josh was
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're just like, what in the world happened? The wheels
Well,
went
no.
off the bus.
Josh, let
So
me tell you like this, all right? Since you're talking about all this therapy you're gonna need. When it's lonely and cold at night, and you're thinking back on the season,
It is
and
40
you're
degrees
just
in Texas right now.
yeah, it's 40 degrees in Texas, and you're just
Yeah.
laying there. Your wife can tell you what it feels like to win. And with that, that was a great episode, boys.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Well done.
Oh, geez.
Well done.
I love you with all of my heart, Josh. I love you.
Oh, that was so well done.
Oh.
Perfect. That was perfect. Yeah, I mean before
I have
before
no
we head
words
out of
to
here,
respond to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no,
None.
I have nothing.
None.
before I
There's-
mean
I think that is a good spot to
All right.
end the episode.
Suck it.
I am
Yeah,
the
suck it. Suck it. I love
all
you
right,
all.
and copyright, we're
Sorry,
ending
production.
the copyright right there.
champion.
I mean, I will just say for me, it's just nasty moves have to be made, and
Yeah.
I should have made them.
Yep. Wrench
Hey,
your gut.
Yeah.
Gird
I
your
did have a
loins.
question. I did have a
Yeah.
question in regards to NFL draft. Are we going to do anything regarding our podcast and
Yeah.
in prep for the NFL draft?
Yeah,
What
like,
do you mean?
like every year, it'll be me and Ryan, and we can fill you in on it.
And yeah, Dad.
I mean, I'm down to do
Dad,
the
we're
live stream
actually,
again.
yeah, and hey, if you want to get in on like draft prep and all of that, like doing
Yeah,
rookie
yeah.
week and all of that,
We
we'd
want
love to
another
have you.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause
we
it's just
want
gonna be
another
me and
person
Ryan.
on.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we can
Well,
we
shoot
can
me
make that happen.
messages. Shoot me messages, and if we can make it work, great.
Okay.
But I definitely know that
Yeah.
first round, first couple of rounds, maybe I'll see what
Sure.
I can do to
We might have to
stay up
change it
late.
to like early morning Saturdays for you, because
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna be
think
doing my work stuff too,
Well,
like earlier in the morning.
Well,
I
we
will
can
tell
we
you.
can talk about this
Yeah.
after the podcast.
Yep. Sorry.
But-
Yeah,
sorry.
we'll talk
Yeah.
about it afterwards.
Thank you
but
all. Thank you all. That's the season.
All
Yeah.
right.
One of us is happy
Well-
about it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening, and thank you for tuning in and watching our end of the year podcast. We really appreciate all of the listening to our podcast and watching us,
All the support.
and all of the support. So thank you for all of that. You can find us anywhere that you get your podcasts. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that. And you can find us at any of our social medias at Last Place FP. That's Facebook, Twitter, well, X now, and Instagram, all at Last Place FP. So thank you guys. Ethan, go ahead.
Yep. Well, for the
The
only
one time he's happy to say it.
no, the only time I'm gonna change it up is sometimes you're the champion and sometimes you're also Ryan. And sometimes both those things are happening at the same time. But it'll be the only time that I say this. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.